All right, one of Michelle's questions is, how do you tell if you are listed with any wholesalers? Well, the way you get into a wholesaler generally is either through KDP extended distribution, which will get you into Ingram Wholesaler, or you upload directly to Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark is a way that self-published or small indie authors can upload their books for print on demand and get directly into Ingram Wholesalers. It's a fantastic program and we highly recommend it. There's also Baker and Taylor, which is solely focused on library sales. But to get into Baker and Taylor, you have to have printed books of your own to send in, and you have to apply. They do not accept everybody. Now, another option is if you have if you did offset print, and you've got 5,000 copies of your book, you can go through a book distributor. You do have to pay them, but a book distributor already has relationships with all of those wholesalers, Baker and Taylor, Ingram, Brodart. And so what happens is that they use their relationships to get you into the wholesale outlets. Very, very handy. And they also take care of a lot of the sale nuances for you, which is helpful. But if you are looking, generally, if you are the self-published author, you would know if you're in a wholesaler because you put yourself there. If otherwise you don't know, ask your publisher. Now, keep in mind when you're doing expanded distribution, I'll slow myself down, through KDP, then they control your rights for the wholesale, and they also control the discount. I don't recommend this if you own your own ISBN. If you own your own ISBN, if you were the publisher, take yourself over to Ingram Spark and upload your own book. You will have more control, you will make more profit, and it's overall a better deal. However, if you have the free KDP ISBN, you can use expanded distribution to get into Ingram Wholesaler. They will sell your book to libraries, bookstores at 25%. But keep in mind that bookstores are not going to buy at 25%. Retail stores won't buy at 25%. It's not enough profit for them. Not only that, is they can tell that Amazon or KDP is the person putting your book into Ingram, and they don't want to support Amazon, who is their biggest competitor. So the KDP expanded distribution may work if you're just trying to sell into, let's say, libraries, but it will not work for retail and bookstores. So again, highly recommend that you go through Ingram Spark if you are self-published or indie published and you would like to get into a wholesaler. All right, lots of questions. Hi, Anna. Let's see. Nice to see you, Denise. I'm glad that you're here today. All right, Miss Linda says, Amy says that you're great with Amazon ads. Oh, thank you. Are you for hire? And if so, how does it work? We do have some Amazon programs, Linda, I can email you about. And what we usually do is if you have the rights to your book, we do Amazon ads through your own account. So you're set up in a way that you can actually continue after we work together. So I'll email you that later today, Linda, and we can talk about how we might be able to help you with some Amazon ads. Good morning, Caroline. All right, Sonia is asking, what are your recommendations for evaluating and enhancing the commercial appeal of your book? How does it apply to books you intend to offer for bulk sales? So I think what you need to do, if you're looking for commercial appeal of your book, you need to compare it to some recent comps. You need to find a book that is similar to yours. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but a similar book to yours that's currently selling, and see if your book stands up. Is the cover not the same, but is the cover similar? Does the cover fall in line? Is this book selling? Was this book put out in the last year or two? Things like that. You need to find your comparison, and that's a good way to evaluate. And if you find your book falling short, let's see what you can do to change that. If maybe your book has the content that's selling for commercial and bulk sales, but your cover is not quite in line, well, then see if you can update your cover. I think that's the best way to do it, because if things are currently selling and you can make a good comparison from your book to a current bestseller, then bookstores, retail stores are more likely to pay attention to your book because they know it has selling power, or at least it has the potential for selling power. All right. Actually, so everyone asking about Amazon ads, I think we've got 5 or 6 people now. If you wouldn't mind dropping me an email, just so I don't miss any of you, the email that you can send into is info, at newshelves.com. I'll drop it into the chat box as well. I will try to remember all of you, but we don't trust my memory that much. So if you shoot me an email over there, we can talk. All right, Miss Anna is saying, I'm adding an epilogue to my published story. Do I have to resubmit as a new version? No, you don't have to. You can add an epilogue. However, it's a great opportunity if your book is a couple of years old to put out a new, fresh edition. That gives you the opportunity to kind of update your cover if you need to. It gives it a new pub date, and you're adding a little bit of new content. So you don't have to, but you can. It really depends on your goals and where your book's at right now. Now, if you were to change the whole story, you would want an absolutely new story edition. All right, Victoria, is it appropriate to message Amy regarding a book cover we were working on before she went to care for her mom? Oh, Victoria, if you email me, I will make sure that we get you helped. Amy is definitely focusing on her mom right now. We love and appreciate that everyone has been so respectful of that. And certainly if Amy or Mary Frances is watching today, we're sending all our love. And Victoria, just shoot me an email, again, info@newshelves.com, and I'll see that, make sure that you get help. Does it cost money to get on the wholesaler list at Ingram? Well, in a way, yes. The way that it works is that when you go to Ingram Spark, there are many, many codes. There's one active right now to upload a title for free. The current free code is NANO, N-A-N-O, 2020. That's good through March 31st. So guys, if you have any revisions or you're uploading a new title to Ingram Spark, now's a great time to get it done for free. It saves you a little bit of cash. But as far as the cost, what happens is that when you sell a copy of your book through Ingram Spark to Ingram, they take a cut. So for example, if you'd like to get into bookstores, when you go onto Ingram Spark, you need to set your discount at 55%. That's right, 55%. And when you set your discount at 55%, that allows them to sell to bookstores and libraries and retailers at a 40% discount. So obviously we've got about 15% floating out there, and that is split between Ingram Spark and Ingram Wholesaler. That is their pay for carrying your book, for making it available. Keep in mind that that will come out aside from your printing costs. Your printing costs come out first, and then the other percentage comes out. It does mean that when you sell through a wholesaler like Ingram, you make a much smaller profit than you do, let's say, selling through KDP direct to Amazon and a consumer, because there's more people to pay. However, we know that getting your book into bookstores and libraries provides ongoing marketing that you just can't beat. So it's definitely worth it, especially if you want your book to go broad, but there is a cost to it. No upfront cost though, or not very much. And with that code, the NANO 2020, it's not a high cost certainly to get your book in there. So highly, highly recommended. And Miss Caroline's asking, how can I get into Barnes & Noble or small independent bookstores? Well, these are two separate things. So let's tackle Barnes & Noble first. When you are trying to get your book into a Barnes & Noble, you have to send in your book for consideration to their small press department. This is if you want to be carried widely in Barnes & Noble. You can certainly go to your local Barnes & Noble and give them your book information and ask if they would do a trial stock. Many times those managers at select locations can make those decisions. But if you want to be carried in multiple Barnes & Noble stores, you have to submit a kit to the Barnes & Noble small press department. You can find that information right on their website. And what you do is you send in your book marketing sheet, your author sheets. You send them in information about your current sales. The goal here, as you're telling them about your current sales and your marketing, is to show the Barnes & Noble team that not only is your book marketable, but you are working to market the book. The reason for them carrying your book would literally be to make money off of you. So you need to prove or to show them that you're a good gamble, that your book is a good gamble, and you will bring buyers to their stores. And so when you send that in, they do have a form you have to fill out about if you're willing to put in some advertising costs, and they do expect to see a marketing plan. Now, small independent bookstores are a little bit different. When you're going to a small indie store, again, they are looking to make sure that you are going to bring customers into their store. However, they choose usually which books to buy on a store-by-store level. They have a lot more freedom because the book buyer is often right inside that store and they make final decisions. So when you go in, many of them, guys, let's be honest, they don't like you to drop in with your book and ask them to carry it. It puts them on the spot, especially if it's a busy time. Try to reach out by email. See if there's any interest. Offer to bring your book by as a sample. Offer to do consignment. But don't drop by and expect the manager or book buyer to give you 15, 20 minutes of their time, especially during a busy time. That will not win you any friends. So what you do need to do, though, is make sure that your book is available from Ingram. You need to make sure it's available at a full trade discount. Again, that means you set your Ingram Spark discount to 55%. Make sure that your book is professionally done. It's been edited. It has a nice cover. Offer to send a copy, a paperback copy or hardcover copy of the book for their review. And make sure that you're telling them what you will do to market the book. Provide all the information they'll need to look your book up on Ingram. Make it easy. Make sure they have the title and the ISBN. And what happens is if this bookstore, either you relate to them, let's say you go in, we're in Rochester, New York. So if I go to my local indie bookstore, which is Liftbridge, and I say, I'm a local author. I would love to have you carry my book. I have a local fan base and I would be driving them to your store. And again, I know that you like to support local, so would you consider it? That's drawing a connection. Or let's say that the bookstore, maybe it's a niche bookstore that concentrates solely on cooking gadgets and cookbooks and things like that, and I have a cookbook. Well, then I'm going to go to that store and say, I know that your market is cookbooks. It's cooking, and it's the average middle-aged woman who's cooking, and my book fits all of those things. I think it would be a great asset to your store, and I'd love to talk to you. Draw some type of connection that shows the buyer that you've researched their store and that you truly believe you're a good fit for their store. And let's see, I tried Amazon ads a long time ago. It was no help. I've done Facebook, Pinterest, and Insta ads. Should I try Amazon or Twitter? Here's what I like about Amazon ads. When someone is browsing around on Amazon, they're usually ready to buy. They're usually ready to click that button and purchase immediately. I think Facebook and social media ads are great for awareness. I think that they can sell books, but people on social media aren't necessarily ready to sell or to buy things. They're not ready with card in hand. When people are on Amazon searching, they're ready to buy. And that's why I like Amazon ads, but you do have to do them well. If you just set your Amazon ads up and you do the automatic targeting, unless your book has a huge history of sales on Amazon already, so they know the data that will sell your book, it's probably not going to go anywhere. Either you will have very low impressions, no sales, and sometimes low spend, or you will spend like crazy. And again, you're not hitting your target market, so you're not selling. I think Amazon ads are wonderful, and I have seen people sell so many books that way. And it's just important that when you're pulling your keywords that you are doing it manually, that you're finding your comp titles, that you're finding authors that write books like yours, and you're pulling keywords that way, and you're being very smart about it. Ongoing Amazon ads that you set and they just never stop, it's a money pit, guys. Don't do it. You need to have small targeted ads that you can then look at, see if they're profitable, see what keywords sold your book, and see which ones didn't. It is just like many things in book marketing, it is a business venture and you have to be smart about it. There is, unfortunately, in my experience, very rarely a case of where you can set it and forget it. It is something that needs a little bit of babying. Right. Sonia said she's got a follow-up question regarding the new addition to add an epilogue. For a nonfiction book, can you also tweak the title, like changing the subtitles? No. Anything having to do with the title, I'm afraid needs a new addition. And not only that, if you do change your title, when you put it back up on Amazon, it will be a totally different book according to them. And it will not transfer over any type of your reviews, anything like that. So tweaking your title generally means a new book. And then you would, of course, say previously published as, and you put the other title on there. All right, Stephen, what are some things that we can do at events to engage people when we have 10 minutes? Well, it depends on the event. If it's a book event, the best thing I think you can do is make sure that you are networking, that you're meeting people and getting to know them. If you are at an event where you're speaking, the best thing you can do to engage people and get lasting engagement is have them sign up, either sign a piece of paper with their email address or go to your website, connect with them some way so you can take that 10-minute engagement and turn it into a relationship. And relationships often turn into sales. I think that when you are working an event and you are trying to connect very quickly, it's hard. It's hard to do that. But if you can talk to that person and find a pain point that you can help with, and you get them interested enough to connect with you on email or social media, that's the best thing you can do. Unless they have a specific pain point that you obviously are meeting, they're not likely to buy your book right then and there. But they will remember the nice person who connected with them and cared about them, and asked to get in touch later on so that they could help them. I think people always remember people more than books. They will always remember nice things and nice conversations before the person who was trying to sell them something. And so I think that's where it's important to focus on. And Annette, Ingram Spark sent a notice that journals with less than 10 content will be removed from their platform. I published a journal that has been selling well for 5 years. Will they remove journals that sell? I'm afraid, Annette, that we don't have any published journals right now, so I don't have knowledge of that. I'm not sure exactly what you mean with 10 content, if it's 10 pages, but maybe 10% content. But I think what's happening is that most of the time they're not big sellers. My gut tells me that if they make some type of new rule, it will probably go wide because they have to for fairness, but you would have to talk directly to Ingram Spark about that. I'm afraid I just don't have the knowledge. 10% content. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I can see why they would do that because those generally, in many cases, do not sell well from print on demand. And so I just don't know. I'm afraid. Talk to Ingram Spark, though, and I'd love to know what they say, and I'll certainly do a little bit of research on my own also. All right, we've got these questions answered, and I'm going to go over to a couple of email questions. All right, Miss Barbara's asking, does the title page of your book have to match the cover of your book exactly? Yes, it does. You want your title page to exactly match. And so her example was, if my title is Grace from Space, A Race to Save Earth, do I have to put that exactly? You absolutely do. Your title page should have the title exactly. And if you are applying for a PCIP block, they will ask that specifically that they match. So you want to do that. And then the other thing she's asking is if I'm noting the first edition at the bottom of my page, as you suggested, what is the proper format? Do you do the copyright with your name and then first edition, or does first edition go first? Generally, your copyright goes at the very top of your copyright page. So you would have your title, and right below that, it would be copyright, the little C symbol, the the year, by the author's name. The edition will go a little bit lower, but copyright always needs to go front and center at the top. Make it clear that you've copyrighted your work. All right, and I know we've got another one here. All right. Wendy's asking, I found out that if you pay your narrator, you can claim 40% profit on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes with an exclusive contract. But after 1 year, you can expand to wider distribution, but then you only get 20% from Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. Is it worth the cut to have wider distribution on your audiobook? I wish there was a one-size-fits-all answer for that, but unfortunately, there's just not. It's much like, is KDP Select right for me or not? Sometimes it's great. Sometimes having an exclusive book on Amazon and Audible will net you more profits. You get better deals. They tend to market you a little bit more and put you higher up in searches. But if you have something that would appeal to wider markets that could go more broad, then it's worth the chance, in my opinion. So for example, for audiobooks, Audible specifically does a lot with romance writers. They have like a romance package where you can add it onto your monthly package. I think it's $6.99, and you can listen to unlimited romance authors. So certainly if you're a romance author, that may be your niche and that may be where you want to stay and make the most profit. However, if you have a business book that would have wide popularity, especially in other countries, then it may be worth it to go for that wide distribution and try for Kobo and different things like that. It depends on the book. You need to know your market, and you need to know where your market likes to get their books from. Do that research, and I think that you'll find that it's a pretty easy decision once you do the research and find out where your readers are buying their books from. All right. All right. How do you know when your book is ready to retire? My book now has a 2020 date on it, but prior to that, it was about 3.5 years old. I'm still getting sales, about 2 to 3 per day on average, with ebook, paperback, and audio. I don't know about changing my title because I've had to input that my title is really good. I am now testing covers. Is it time to retire the book when it's no longer selling, and what determines that level of sales? Wendy, this is a great question. So when you're looking at a book and it's time to decide, do I keep working on it? Is it something that I say, it is what it is, I'm going to put it up, and if it keeps selling, great, but I'm going to go on to new ventures? And my answer to that is kind of got a couple answers to it. Number one, is your book still current? If you have a nonfiction book, especially, do the rules and the message that you gave 5 years ago still apply today? And if it applies today, is it still current? If you've got a book that is all about, I don't know, let's say dental practices. If you have a book that's all about dental practices that you wrote 5 years ago, does it need to be updated? And if it was updated, would it continue to sell and sell well? Or is it just outdated? Is it something, were you talking about how amazing mercury fillings are and it's just no longer applicable? You have to ask these questions and really answer honestly. Is it something that will convert over? If it is, then I say update, put a new edition out. If you're owning your own imprint, if you buy your ISBNs in bulk, it's not really that much of an investment to keep your book updated if it's consistently selling. And when you ask about how many sales determines if it's worth it, again, a couple of questions. If you have a book that's selling at the end of a year, let's say, are you recovering your cost? If you're not recovering your cost, are you gaining value in other ways? Is your book bringing you in clients or customers that are then, of course, bringing their own income to your business? If so, then it's probably worth it. Is that book gaining you new readers for your new books? Let's say you have a series. I work with an author who has a series of 6 books, and she keeps her first book current, she keeps it running, and she does ads all the time. Why? she doesn't make much money. She probably, if anything, breaks even on that first book, but she gains readers. And so the value there is that they go on to read books 2 through 6, and that is where she makes her profit. So you need to know where the value is in your book and how you're getting it. And it may not necessarily be from book sales. We have so many clients that have a book just as it's a business card, basically. It's the best business card you can have because you can show that book, you can give that book, and you immediately look more knowledgeable about your business. You immediately are sharing your insights, and that is just a great thing to have. And if you're using that book as a business card, you want it updated. You don't want to go into a meeting with a high-profile client that you're trying to sign a contract with and say, yeah, here's my book from 10 years ago that I've done nothing with. You want it to be fresh and updated, just like your normal business cards. I venture to guess that most of us update our headshots. We update our bio every year or two. And I think that if you're using a book to gain clients, if you're using it as a business card, you need to treat your book the same way because it's bringing value outside of book sales. So I hope that helps answer that question. All right, Steven says, what have you found effective to be engaging an audience, like on TV or the radio, when they don't show self-promotion? I'm not quite sure of your question here, Steven. I don't know if you mean like who has been effective at engaging an audience without self-promotion. I think, of course, anyone that's going on a commercial, anyone that's going on TV. I love cooking shows. I absolutely adore cooking shows. I watch them with my family all the time. And often you will see a guest come in who, let's say they have a new, I don't know, it could be a new rap song. It's a singer, a rapper who's got a new song coming out. They come on this cooking show to promote themselves. That is promotion, but simply going to a new audience and being there is the promotion. Are they talking about their new song, their new hot stuff? Absolutely, but it has to be subtle. If they come onto a cooking show and they are just in your face about their new stuff, they're going to lose the audience. They're not going to bring new fans in. They're going to turn people away. Not only that, the person hosting them is probably not going to be a fan. They're not going to be like, hey, that was a great guest who really engaged my audience. So I think it's really important that when you go on any type of blog, podcast, that you give value at the same time that you're promoting yourself. Promote yourself with how engaging you are, how awesome you are, and let your book, let your promotion be the side story, and that is how you get invited back. Oh, he says, that was a typo. I meant TV and radio does not allow you to self-promote. That's right, because just like I was saying, they don't want you to. And certainly if you go on a news show, the newscaster will probably say, and here's Stephen Roberts, the writer of this book. And it'll be brought up, but it can't be the focus. It's not what people want to see. People don't want to see a 15-minute commercial. All right. I think we got through all of our backlog questions. If anyone else has questions, let me know. In the meantime, I'm going to hop over to Facebook and just make sure that we don't have any questions there. Let's see. I'm always terrified when I go to Facebook that I'm accidentally going to play the video and just have you guys hear me blasted on there, and I'd be horrified because I hate hearing myself on video. All right, I don't think we've got any questions over here, but I know we've got a new one up on Zoom. Let's see. All right. I need to talk next steps with new shelves. I sent in the form Amy sent a few weeks ago, left a message with your office to follow up. And again, I'm sure you've heard and we appreciate your patience. Amy has been out with her sick mother. And so if you need any follow-up, please send in an email at info@newshelves.com. I promise those emails come to me and I will get in touch with you and see how we can help. But it sounds like you've got a print book, audio book, and you've got a book up on Amazon, so that's good. And you've done Ingram Spark with a hardcover. Good job. Sounds like you're on the right path. So let's see. Yeah, email me. We'll talk. I'd love to talk about that with you. Oh, and you're a semifinalist in an international contest. Congratulations on that. All right. And another question that I see coming over is about BookBub. When is BookBub worth it and how does it work? All right, guys, let's share all the insider secrets of BookBub. BookBub is, as many of you know, it is a featured deal site where they will email out to a huge list in different categories of featured books. And those books are generally free to $2.99, just depending. And it's a submission type thing. You have to go onto BookBub. You have to submit your book for a deal to be included in this newsletter. They only accept less than 10% of submissions. Less than 10%. They have so many people applying every month. I've heard numbers around 15,000 a month, which is huge, and less than 10% are chosen to actually be featured in a deal. And so I get the question all the time, in less than 10%, how do I get my book chosen? Here's what I have to say, guys. If you want your book in a BookBub deal, you need wide distribution. You need your ebook, because it's the ebook program, available not only on Kindle, but you need it available on Draft to Digital is what we use, but you need wide distribution to Barnes & Noble for Nook. You need Kobo. You need iBooks through Apple. You need your book in as many outlets as possible, because when they're presenting a book, BookBub is looking for something that has a wide appeal, that is available to all of the people that are subscribing to their newsletter. They don't want to pigeonhole themselves into Amazon. So if your book is available through KDP Select and Amazon Unlimited, Kindle Unlimited, you will not be a good candidate. I'm sorry to say, it's just not usually a good fit. Another thing you need to consider when you're applying to BookBub, which you can do every 30 days, is that you need to give them a good deal. If you have a book that's set at $1.99 and you're like, hey, I'll drop my book to 99 cents for you, it's not a good deal for them. They want shockingly good deals. They want a book that goes from $9.99 to 99 cents. That gets people excited. That's something that keeps their subscribers checking their emails from day to day. And when you have your book set up, keep in mind that you cannot set your book, I'm afraid, at $9.99 for a day and apply to BookBub, and then when they say no, you drop it back down to $2.99. It doesn't work that way. They can actually see the up and down. Your book needs to be priced at a fairly high amount for 30 to 90 days. Sometimes you do lose out on sales in that time because your book's just priced higher. It depends on your marketing goals and if losing those sales in the short term is worth a possible BookBub feature. Because if you get a BookBub feature, you are sent out to so many possible readers, so many possible buyers. And so when you're doing that, just keep your marketing goals in mind, your end marketing goals. And if you want to try it, keep your book at high, $8.99, $7.99, $9.99 for at least 90 days. Apply to BookBub every 30 days with a 99-cent deal. When you're applying to BookBub, they also give you the opportunity to kind of give your spiel, give your 2-sentence pitch of why your book is a good fit. That is where you need to wow them. If you have gotten recent press somewhere, it's BookBub. It's BookBub, but it's BookBub altogether, if that makes sense. When you're going to the website, it's bookbub.com. Sorry, I have that weird accent that came from the South and is in the North, so I still talk fast and kind of mush my words together. BookBub. All right. But when you're applying, you need, if you've got recent press, if you've been featured somewhere, if you've hit bestseller lists, you want to tell BookBub there. You want to tell them why you're a good gamble and why it's worth promoting you. BookBub does cost money. If they offer you a featured deal, you pay for the privilege. And so keep that in mind. They do tell you the estimated cost when you apply, but it is an investment. If you get that, though, I have seen so many people sell thousands of books just from a BookBub. I cannot stress enough how many times I've seen people skyrocket to the top of their categories and lists with a BookBub deal. I think it's amazing. Now, if you don't get a BookBub deal, there are BookBub ads where you can advertise right on their website. It's not the same as a featured deal. It's a paid ad. It's to be featured on their website. Note from an insider, do not do a BookBub ad if you have a high-priced book. If your book is higher than, let's say, $4.99, don't bother with a BookBub ad. People on BookBub are looking for discounted books. They will probably click on your ad, but they very rarely buy because they're not in the market for a $9.99 book. They're in the market for a book that is free to $2.99. So choose wisely. If you want to advertise on BookBub and your book is set at 99 cents, go for it. You could really find a great niche, and I've seen a lot of books sell that well. I recently had a book that was on KDP Select, so we didn't really think it'd be worth trying for a BookBub, but what we did is we advertised on BookBub at the 99-cent mark with Kindle Unlimited, and it did very well. The author got a lot of sales. So BookBub is a fantastic outlet, but use it wisely and know that it's not for everybody, and how you use it depends on your book. Caroline, cost involved, it's you pay to be in their newsletter. So for example, it could be as cheap as $200 to be included in a niche genre category. However, if you are looking to be included in, let's say, thriller or romance, it can be as much as $2,000, $3,000 to be in that mailing. Again, it's an investment. I've seen many people make it back plus some, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just hit those bestseller lists. Sometimes you just get the wide exposure and you gain new readers. So, and it's an investment. You have to think of it that way. So, thank you, Anna. I try to be fun every once in a while. All right, Stephen says, what type of milestones to launch a book would you recommend for a second edition? Let's see, if you're looking at a second edition, I would say if you have new content to add, if your content is outdated and needs to be updated, it's time for a new edition. Don't sell your readers something that's out of date, because then you will lose them. If you have, let's say it's been several years, it's been 5 years and your book is still selling, but it's starting to taper off because it just doesn't fit current standards, it's time to update it. If you have, let's say, since publishing your book, you hit the USA Today bestseller list, and you have a popular writer or a popular person in your sphere, let's say a doctor or something like that, who would like to write a foreword for you, or who agrees to write a foreword to you for your book, that's a great time to do a new edition. When you have new things to add, when there's a reason to update it, is when I say go for it. And again, that will be different for every single person. Sometimes it's not worth it to do a new edition. If your book is just selling and it's a romance novel, but you've got other ones in a series, it may not be worth it. It depends on the book and on the author. All right, Annette, do you need an agent to pitch a novel to film producers or development executives, or will they accept it directly for review from the author? That really depends, Annette. It depends on the company, the production company. I have seen authors pitch themselves and get deals. However, I have seen many times with especially big companies where they only accept pitches from people that they currently work with agents. So it depends on your goals. I think that if you seriously think that you have something worth pitching, that you should go ahead and look into an agent, at least consult with an agent to see what they think and see what kind of feedback you get from them. I say it never hurts to pitch yourself, except, like I said, just like the top 5 publishers, many of those top 5 publishers, they do not accept any type of submissions from single authors. They only accept submissions from agents. It's a way that they protect themselves from just getting so many submissions in. And agents for film are the same way. Sometimes if it's a bigger company, if it's a bigger production company, they just won't accept those single submissions. If it's a small film company, they may. So keep that in mind as you go forward. And I know there are so many great agents out there that do offer webinars like this, or that offer consultations, so you can kind of get in there and see if it's a good fit for you. All right, guys, I think we ran through all of our questions. I'm going to check Facebook one more time, and if you have any final questions, drop them in the Q&A box and we'll get to them. And let's see. But I think for the most part, we've covered everything. Let's see. Whoops. And my screen went blank. I'm on the struggle bus today, aren't I? All right. Nope. We're all good here. I'm going to check Zoom one more time. Oop. I love it. I'm getting notes saying I'm typing. Don't go yet. All right, I'll stay. All right. I've submitted articles to eZine but never heard from them. Should I just try to pitch them elsewhere? Yes. Generally, when we pitch an article to someone, we give it about 30 days for them to answer and have the opportunity of an exclusive. If they don't take it, we go somewhere else and we pitch it somewhere else. Most of the time, if they are interested in your article, they will get back to you. I would say within a week, maybe 2. So after 30 days, if you still have not gotten an answer, take your article somewhere else. Certainly, if it is something that is tied to current events that needs to be published immediately, then when you send your pitch in, I would send an article in and say, as you know, this is a current event. I am sending this out to 5 different publications, and we'll consider the first response in. And that can add some fire under them, but only do that if it's warranted. If it's something that's evergreen or something that would be good for, several months, don't try to play that game with them because they will know. But for sure, do that. All right. What do you recommend to get sponsors from businesses to purchase bulk quantities of the book? I think in order for a business to purchase bulk quantities, you have to give them a reason to. Show them the need for your book. So you need to do your research that company and see how your book can benefit them, and then create a marketing piece or a proposal that shows them the need, that shows them how your book will help, and then offer them a good deal. Keep in mind, they have lots of people to choose from, so you need to show that you care, you've taken the time to research, and show how and why your book, your product, or you are the best person to help them. So absolutely take your research, make it personal. Do not send a corporate pitch to 50 different people that's just blanketed. They will know, and you'll just be one in a million. Make sure that you stand out by taking care and being very personalized with them. All right. And what is a wholesaler list? Suzanne, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. When you want to be in a wholesaler, we did talk about that at the beginning. Wholesalers would be Ingram, Baker & Taylor, Brodart. There are several wholesalers out there. And of course, you need to make sure that you're in at least one of those. Ingram is the easiest through Ingram Spark. All right, I would like to do a nationwide promotion with other influencers. If I don't have a big audience, how can I train up with others? Team up, I think. Well, Stephen, if you want to team up with others, you have to offer them value. And whether that be the fact that you'll promote it, or maybe you want to team up with influencers and you don't have a big audience, but you are willing to do all of the legwork to make sure that they are connected to other influencers. So let's say you're working to get 5 or 10 influencers together to do a big promotion. Maybe you don't have the audience on your own, but you are willing to do all of the connecting so that they get connected. Each influencer is connected with 4 to 9 other big influencers. So you're providing value because you're doing work for them to connect them, and therefore you're included also. So I think that might be a way for you to work yourself in there.